Hi, I'm Sai,
And I'm Subhash.
and today we have a very special episode. Today we have our friend Krishiv with us.
Yeah, he is someone that we go to school with.
Yeah, and this episode is going to be about the 20th century's biggest TV series or cartoon series, The Simpsons.
Krishiv, say hi.
Hello.
Okay, so we have him on Zoom right now. Um, that's not how we're going to be having guests on every episode. That's just how we plan on doing it today. We'll be uh, doing it better uh, as time goes on.
Indeed, indeed.
So I personally have watched only a couple episodes of The Simpsons, and I remember Krishiv saying that he too has only watched a couple. Sai said that he's watched the entire thing before.
Yeah.
So Sai is going to be a little bit more knowledgeable on episodes more than we will be. But we aren't just going to be talking about the episodes. We're going to be talking about basically the show as a whole.
Yeah, and the direction
Right.
of it, the
Yeah.
general, you know, the decline, I would say, or incline if you feel that way. And if you feel that way, I automatically don't like you, but still.
I mean, it was an incline as soon as the show started. Um, but as soon as season 8 came along, it sort of just went to trash.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's like Simpsons started out as a very powerful thing. Like the the like producer or like sort of director of The Simpsons, Matt Groening.
Right.
He was a he was an artist or a animator that was really getting sick and tired of this this unrelatable kind of version of the nuclear family that
Right.
was being portrayed in media. So The Simpsons was supposed to be a kind of counterculture to that, and that's how it started, and people really liked it.
Yeah. If you look at shows around the time, you would see stuff like Full House. You would see stuff like that. I'm not too
90s,
right.
90s stuff.
Yeah, you would see a bunch of '90s shows. Um, right. And The Simpsons, it wasn't like that regular family, like Sai saying.
They
It was
said
a little
words that
different.
you wouldn't find. They actually had predicaments and they dealt with issues that other shows didn't. And
And in the beginning, it was a little bit more humane rather than the perfect life that sitcom families had then.
yeah, for example, I mean, yeah, that's definitely part of it. It like I'm a traditionalist guy. I like the nuclear family and everything. It's just that like the sort of standard of that was well, in my opinion, the certain standard that was set on TV was unapproachable or unrelatable.
Right. Christian, what what do you think about the start of The Simpsons rather than how it is now?
Well, yeah, I think it was like Subhash was saying, it's pretty relatable, and the fact where it's not like Full House, which seems like everything is perfect and all good and fine.
Right. I mean, that's not to say that Full House didn't have its, like, I shouldn't say problems as a show, but problems as that family progressed. Um, for example, yeah, the mother died in Full House. But other than that, that family was perfect. I didn't really have any problems with that family. And the thing is, if you want to have something relatable, you need to have problems with it. And that's what The Simpsons succeeded in its first couple of years running. Um, and the thing is, the most perfect seasons are the golden years of The Simpsons are classified by people that worked on the show and the audience
Like
as well.
it's like the original three founders. Just like it's like people that brought heart, that people that brought actual sensible comedy,
And that was between
and
like
like an actual
seasons.
workable plot.
That
And
was between seasons 3 and 8, and after that, you had new writers coming in, and almost nobody on the show was still on the
yeah,
show.
personally, in my opinion, and a lot of fans' opinions, the Simpsons peaked around season. The Simpsons peaked around season 7,
Yeah,
and this is shown in like IMDb's sort of you know ratings of each season by the fans.
right. So I would say, if we were to look at episodes wise, you would have a certain uh way as an episode goes. This isn't The Simpsons directly, but if you looked at something like Phineas and Ferb, it has its own like uh I don't know what the word is. It isn't coming to mind, but it has a formula. You have Phineas and Ferb. Perry goes off on his mission or whatever. They say, "Hey, where's Perry?" They go work on some large project. Isabella comes in and says, "Hey, what you doing?" There's a formula,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with The Simpsons. Even if the story isn't the same every single time, they have a formula that they go by. And if you were to look at certain episodes strictly follow that formula, and one episode that I think really boosted the show was Marge versus the monorail. I think it's in season 4. Um, so the writers actually believe that's where the show hit its first incline, and that's when that's the turning point of the show. Um, and if I were to do a quick rundown of the episode, it's the one where Mr. Burns is caught storing nuclear waste. And he's fined, I think, $3 million, and the city gets to choose what they do with that money.
Yeah.
And that episode, it had a lot of antics, but it didn't go as far as the newer episodes do.
Yeah, when we're talking about the comedy, the standpoint of comedy for The Simpsons, that's actually a very interesting topic. For my opinion, it's like instead of like nonsensical gaffes for the sake of having a gaff and like, oh, that's wacky, that's zany, haha. It's actually it's portrayed through the characters. For example, I saw this example. Homer sitting in a airport and over the loudspeakers, women, children, and fat people board the plane. And then you have two scenarios. Homer saying, "Yeah, that's me." Okay, and then he jumps on the plane. Ha ha, he's fat, whatever. But in like the way that the original Simpsons, like for example, in season 8, how they would have portrayed it was more or less like Homer, like he's sitting in ignorance in bliss because he doesn't consider himself more morbidly obese or whatever
Right.
until like or until a you know
Flight attendant or
flight
some
attendant or like yeah like the I don't know what you call them, like TSA or whatever,
right, TSA.
off-brand
Yeah.
TSA like tells him, "Sir, you need a board," and she points at a line with a bunch of obese people, and like
Right.
that's a joke that actually and Homer looks at
Right.
the line and exclaims, "Doe." That actually like portrays part of his character. And like Homer, one of the most subtle jokes is Homer by no means is a competent man, yet he works in a nuclear power plant.
And the thing is, I think Homer was actually one of the main characters that changed the most over the 31-year run. Homer started out as someone who was incompetent, but you could he was lovable. You could see why Marge didn't leave him.
Yeah, he was more than just an incompetent.
Like he wasn't smooth brain then.
So
Now,
like the way I'm seeing it is that I haven't really watched that much of the show, but the way I'm seeing it is that the character has evolved the way to make them just get more laughs out of them. Pretty much, they're just taking
right.
away from the character,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
I mentioned this in one of our previous episodes. I mentioned it, I believe, in the episode about The Office. Um, it was about Kevin from The Office. He was Flanderized, and that's the term. That's where the term Flanderization comes from. It comes from Ned Flanders. Ned Flanders was a regular person. He was just the annoying neighbor who was somewhat religious. As the series went on, he became the most religious character, and religion became the entirety of his character, and that's what happens to a lot of the characters on The Simpsons.
yeah.
Another, yeah,
He went from he went from Catholic to Westboro Baptist Church. Like he really
right,
scaled it up, and this has happened to some extent to every single person in the series. For example, it's like Lisa. She was a loving, caring person, and then she like got fine flanderized
right,
she got flanderized into she instead of like being wise, caring, whatever, really taking other people's into consideration, she changed it to someone that just goes blindly along the trends. And in some way that I think the entire series has been not perverted, but it's changed a lot because it started as counterculture, but then it became the culture. And like nowadays
right.
they mocked the celebrity culture and everything, and now they're like having features from Lady Gaga and all of that. Like they became what they hated.
Right. The show, what it does is, I mean, in the beginning, it started as a show with creative liberty, and that's what the episode that I mentioned before took. Marge and the monorail. It didn't. It took creative liberty. It's something that The Simpsons didn't take entirely before. Uh, the thing is that the show takes too much creative liberty now. It does things that are wacky, things that are dumb, if I were to say it, um, things that don't make sense. It's something that the show is doing that shouldn't be done.
Yeah, instead of like exploring satire through you know, instead of exploring satire through their characters, they just, you know, have dumb events. It's not
Right,
like the characters' inner machinations causing anything. Like I use the Homer example, but like instead of something like Homer's character being explored, it's really just a haha fat joke or
right,
haha dumb joke, or like it's just it's not what the original creators would have wanted or anything.
right. Another thing that changed with The Simpsons was that they parodied other shows or other movies or other people, and they would have people from those movies or people from those shows come on to The Simpsons, and they understood that you can't just reference something to make humor, and that's something that The Simpsons perfectly understood. But now you have certain people coming on. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
Now you have certain people coming on, and it's just the reference. You don't have any humor in it. Just saying, "Oh ho, ha 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 ha," Luke Skywalker is on the show.
It's like here.
It doesn't give you a laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like for example, like you know, the original writers of The Simpsons, like their board meetings, they would go through like 40, 50 minutes working on one or like working on a series of scenes or making sure a joke made sense instead of
right,
just slipping on a banana peel and something happened. There was a series of events where Bart actually sold his soul to a mill house for $5, and basically like something happened to his bike. His bike was left out in the middle of the street. I don't remember it 100% clearly, but no, it was swept up by like a, you know, like a road cleaning thing, you know.
right,
Yeah, yeah. And like,
Yeah.
oh, he thinks it's broken. Oh, all it did was clean it. He gets it and starts riding it. Oh, nope, turns out it's actually broken. And then turns out like, oh, it must have just been an accident. Well, the street sweeping guy driving the street sweeping mobile thing turns around with a grin on his face, and oh wow, it's an act of malice. And then he falls down the stairs. You see, it's something much more than slips on banana peel, haha, incompetent, not funny. It's a series of unfortunate events due to, you know, Bart selling his soul, and it kind of takes us through kind of a roller coaster, but you know, in a good way.
right. Um, I don't know if I know Krishiv said that he watched only a couple of episodes, but Krishiv, do you remember any episodes in particular where you saw comedy that was done properly, and then you later saw an episode that was similar in a way and had the comedy done improperly?
I can't really remember that much from the episodes. There's like very few episodes that I watch. It's kind of like the thing, like I would go to a hotel, don't know what to watch it on TV, like that kind of thing.
I
So
mean,
there's not much that I really
Simpsons
remember.
isn't the only show where this type of stuff happens. You have it happen with shows like Family Guy. You have it happen with shows like SpongeBob. Um, Another example is how Homer changed. Like we keep going back to that, but Homer changed, uh, both in how he looked and how he acts. Uh, I don't remember what season in particular, but throughout the show's like main run in the beginning, Homer was more of a human. He if he lost his job in the first season and he felt like killing himself. He had that sense of being a human. Um and he changed into the point where he had like millions of jobs and he doesn't care.
Yeah, like one thing that's so simple about Homer is that he lives in a really chaotic world, but at the end of the day, he's kind of like dumb, but he's ignorant in a way that he likes it. It's called ignorant bliss. Homer is kind of
Right,
like for example, there's an episode, Homer's Enemy. It's one of my favorite episodes actually.
right,
Homer meets up with like the American archetype of a hero. He's hardworking, he's intelligent, he's classic, funny, smart. Except he meets Homer, a bumbling oaf that succeeds more than him and is happier than him, but
right,
he's completely incompetent. And Homer's getting awards and everything, even though he's working hard. It's Homer meets the archetypical or like the American hero. And at the end of the day, Homer ends up driving this person insane because like Homer is happy in his stupidity, and that really drives him insane. And that's a very powerful device plot. I liked it a lot. And if you really compare it to the episodes nowadays, they're just flat out weird. Like for
Right.
example, Lisa like going on stage with Lady Gaga. That's just why.
Like if you wanted to do something like that, add some comedy into it,
No, add
you
some
know?
real comedy, not
Or
just
yeah,
haha funny. I like something,
yeah, like you said before, don't add, oh, that person just slipped on a banana peel. Add something like, oh, this person, I don't know, a good example. I'm not that great at comedy. I just whip out a joke whenever
This
it's
spoon
good.
is abnormally large.
I mean,
Props to you for whoever knows that reference.
right. And that type of comedy, not really that great. If something's abnormally large, it isn't funny.
Yes.
Right.
Honestly, I think like I think one of the great things about The Simpsons is I think one of the great things about The Simpsons is that at the end of the day, it was a really great show, but a lot of things came out from it. Like if you look at some of the so-called, memes around it and like, for example, Anime Marge and like Kira Bart or like Bart Kira or whatever. And like all the subcultures formed around it. It's really beautiful and it's really cool. Like a lot of the things that sprouted from it.
I don't know how long we've been recording. We're recording on Zoom for the first time, but as Ryan Higo would say, it's time to take a shishi break. Um, so we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Work hard, hard. Okay, I messed that up. But I was just gonna say, working hard or hardly working. That's the motto I live by. Welcome back. We're back from our break.
Indeed, literally just to get a charger because I forgot to charge the laptop.
Right.
Well, actually, let me plug it in. That might
Yeah.
be a good idea.
Right. So
Yeah.
uh, me and Krishan are gonna be talking a little bit as Sai charges the laptop. Right. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go over a couple of things really on how Homer changed during the show's run. That's really the main topic of this episode. Rather than focusing on the Simpsons, we're focusing on characters changing and how the series changed, not really how episodes
I guess
changed.
satire in TV and like character
Right.
change.
So Homer, like during the first initial run, like I said, seasons 3 through 8, golden age of The Simpsons, Homer had a heart. Like he cared for people. He was
He had a rationale behind his
right.
words. He had
He
like thought or reason.
and he actually faced consequences rather than being left if he left alone if he did something bad.
Yeah, at the end, he's just kind of portrayed as an
right.
immortal oaf.
Yeah, he had a brain in the beginning. He had real emotions and he was self-aware really. And as the series went on, his the way that he acted was different. He became brainless, he became insociable, self-obsessed, and had no consequences at all. Like he could burn down a building and be fine with it. He wouldn't get
He was
reprimanded.
immortal. He was really
Right,
immortal,
like you
and
said.
he really
Yeah.
unrelatable.
Yeah, and Homer wasn't the only one with these problems. There were other characters in the show. I know Christian wanted to talk a little bit like that about that. So Christian, if you have stuff about characters changing, really.
Yeah. So like in general, the characters they went from humane to pretty much like I think somebody said like immortal.
I,
Um,
I said that, yeah.
specifically like Marge. I remember in one of the earlier episodes that she was like she came to a realization about something and it like made sense almost. Like she was caring about this certain group of people or something like that. I don't know the details, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I feel like the idea of characters changing isn't something that's restricted to The Simpsons. You have shows like SpongeBob. SpongeBob started out as a character. I mean, not just SpongeBob. SpongeBob and Patrick. You had Patrick, who's basically like Homer. He started
He's
out
blissfully ignorant.
right.
I mean,
Like
there's there
yeah, that's the phrase you keep
Homer.
using.
Homer
Yeah,
has
is exactly like
Homer.
that.
It's kind of like Homer has like more rhyme or reason to his stuff.
Right.
Homer has a family, and one of his very big traits is having a loving family and wanting to help his family. But like yeah, like in SpongeBob, something that I noticed was like I took a break from not. We're gonna talk about this a lot in next week episodes. next week's episode. Gosh.
Right. We're gonna be talking about that with someone who actually really likes SpongeBob. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be good at analyzing that better than we are. But
yeah, but no, when I watch recent episodes, like in contrast to the older episodes, number one,
you see SpongeBob as like you see him smart. You see him as a good person in the beginning, and then
it's not only that, also animation something to touch on. Like the animation, it was funny. It was funny in the old one, but like now it's just the animation is just flat out just weird and wacky. Like
it's a lot more cartoonish than it was before. If that makes any sense.
Slapstick.
Right. And the thing is with SpongeBob, obviously this isn't a SpongeBob episode, but as time went on, SpongeBob became as dumb as Patrick, which is something that put him apart, that set him aside from Patrick in the beginning. SpongeBob was supposed to be the more rationale type person, but now he's just as dumb. And I feel like there are many characters in The Simpsons that we could go on about that are just like SpongeBob and Patrick. They change over time, just like Homer goes from smart to not smart, goes from someone who cares to someone who doesn't care. As the series went on, really, um, Homer became someone that you wish Marge would just get a divorce with, because you saw no reason for them to stay together. It, like I said, he had no consequences. He was self-obsessed. What was the point of Marge staying with him? There was a point uh, to Marge staying with him in the beginning.
I would say like almost borderline, not sociopathic, but like it's very. How do I put this? I'm actually not sure how I'd put it.
Well, I'm just gonna keep going on. I like rambling, honestly. The thing is, The Simpsons, it isn't really one writer's fault. It's the fault of many writers and the idea of staff change over time. Because obviously, with a show that's going on for that long, you're gonna have some staff changes.
Disclaimer: we do not condone the witch hunts of any staff members.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we don't have that big of a following, but please do not go after any of the staff writers that they have on right now. It isn't their fault that they aren't writing that great. It is a little bit, but it isn't.
What, you think we have 38 subscribers? You think we're tiny? No, we have 39, Subhash.
We have 40, actually.
40? Since when?
Since today.
Based.
Right.
So, like, I know you're saying that it's technically, like, part of the writer's fault as well, but it's hard to really change from the original writers of the show to, like, anybody else.
Right, yeah.
That thinking goes away.
Yeah.
The thinking and ideas of the characters change completely.
Right, yeah.
And that reflects on the show.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, two writers from different ages won't be able to think the same way. So you are going to have those differences, no matter how long the show goes on for. The new writers of The Simpsons, though, they don't really understand the original point of the show, like we said in the beginning of this episode.
It's not only that. I think they can't understand the original rhyme and reason of the show.
They don't, and they can't. Like we said in the original, not in the original, at the beginning of this episode, the show was made to contrast the nuclear family of the time.
It was made to contrast everything that was set in stone before that hand. Like, for example, one of the biggest things was, remember, this show's like 2 decades old. Even like it was in the 90s. So like,
and now instead of Homer being a joke per se, he's more of a punching bag. They just take shots at him left and right.
But no, like like I think that like a lot of the jokes and nuances and subtleties of the and like the culture of this of the 90s, it's preserved in a lot of the in a lot of the Simpsons episodes, the earlier ones, which I think is really beautiful. But like from that, I think it's very hard to find a really good flow from that into now's culture, because from when we had like Bart and like Lisa, they're mischievous. Well, Bart's mischievous, Lisa's very smart, cunning, or whatever. Homer, oaf, who loves his family. Marge, loving mother, works hard.
Right.
All of these people. But like now in the 30th season, can you believe 30 seasons?
31 seasons, actually. 30? They're on the 31st, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really? Well, yeah. I only watched until the 30th. Well, no, there's this thing where like, oh yeah, Lisa follows all the trends and Bart's woke now. Like that's just stupid. I'm sorry, but like it's very hard to get, like, it's very hard to portray that accurately.
Right. And if you were to look at the writers of the Golden Age, like we've been saying, you would have people like Conan O'Brien, Brad Bird. Brad Bird actually wrote for the Incredibles movie, and yet you would have someone like Greg Daniels who wrote for The Office and Parks and Rec, incredible shows and movies, and then you switch over to people who don't really I mean, yeah, you would have people who do write some all right episodes, but the episodes aren't that great anymore.
The
You would
bar
have
the bar is unachievable at this moment.
right for the in the original run of the show, I keep saying original run, but in the Golden Age, you would have episodes hitting 18 to 22 million views per episode, and you would have and with the 28th seasons, the season premiere of the 28th season, um, it hit 3.36 million views. That's 1/6 of what it was hitting during its Golden Age.
Yeah, but then again, I feel like the TV show was meant to die. I think it's in like a lot of what like a lot of creators are saying is that it's been zombified.
Right.
It's a zombie of what it once was. Like
Yeah, that's what they call this
Yeah,
new era of The Simpsons. Yeah.
yeah. I think the point was that when it peaked, and it shouldn't have gone any further.
Walking Simpson.
Yes, The Walking Simpsons. That's what they call this era.
Patent pending.
Yes. And with that golden age, you got stuff like quotable lines. If you look at season 9, episode 2, that's really the day that The Simpsons died. I keep saying season 3 to 8, but season 9, episode 2 is the episode where the show got bad. It's the episode where Skinner is exposed for being something else. You see that Skinner was a part of the army. He made a friend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he took the place of that the other guy.
Yeah, that's that episode. You take 9 years to build up a character that people like, and then you throw it all down the drain.
I think there's a bigger precursor to that. I honestly think that like you know, and it's not even that. I think that's just like a slippery slope that it's a rabbit hole that like it fell down.
It's disrespectful to the audience. That
It's just plain
episode-
unbelievable
right,
too.
yeah.
It's like zany and wacky. Like, and then I mean, there are some really good moments and stuff in The Simpsons that are kind of wacky. For example, like the ever so memed steamed hams thing. Like for
Right.
example, like Skinner and the other guy.
Right.
Who?
I don't remember his name, but Skinner and the person that
The principal guy.
poses as Skinner, the guy that poses as Skinner.
No. I'm talking about a different thing. Like he invites some like a principal guy to dinner or
Isn't
lunch.
Skinner the principal?
Yeah, but like some other principal guy.
Okay,
And he
yeah,
invites him to
right.
lunch, and he was making like roasted hams, but the hams were burning. So like he looks out the window, he gets Krusty Burger and poses it off to himself. And like while the things and like it's just a series of really dumb excuses that Skinner's moving, but it's actually entertaining because like each thing leads into another. It's really dumb, it's really zany, but it works in that one moment because it like the incompetence of the other guy to go along with these unbelievable excuses. For example, like what's that the smoke coming from? Oh, I made oh well no, he's like, I thought we were having ham for lunch. This is burgers. Oh yeah, these are steamed hams. It's a regional
Right.
like thing. And like it's like aurora boreal. What's all that fire coming from outside? What's the light from the kitchen? He didn't know it was fire. So and Skinner was like aurora borealis. And like he just went along with it. That worked in that one scenario, but like they just took the ball and ran with it too far.
And I think the writers of today, they tried to do that, and it's just not going anywhere. And if it is going anywhere, it's going to places that aren't that great. I mean, all in all, The Simpsons has been out of ideas for the past 2 decades. It's not something that the audience can change too much. It's really just the
Out of
writers,
ideas,
yeah.
in like Simpsons Mania, which is was pretty prevalent. Simpsons Mania, they became the culture. They were no longer a counterculture. They couldn't
Right.
like claim that seat. So that was very hard to deal with.
The show that airs on Fox every single night.
They became the cult. They became what they hated. They started
Right.
worshiping celebrities. They started doing all this like dumb like. Matt Groening left to work on Futurama, and a lot like one
Right.
guy like died. I forget his name.
Greg Daniels also, obviously went on to make shows like The Office and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, and people like iconic people from the original team left, and that 100% impacted it.
Right.
And it just they couldn't they can't just recapture that lightning in the bottle for many reasons, and I think this is in part due to the time that it was set in,
Right.
and like the time that it was set in, like the time that we have now. The fact that so
It's
many
just
people left,
two
it's
different.
like
It's two different periods with two different sets of writers.
yeah.
Not two different sets of writers. The writers have changed many times over the years. It's just the idea that the writers changed,
Yeah,
and
Christian, why do you think that do you agree with me when I say like they couldn't recapture that like essence of
the
humor,
original show,
like the
or
the
right,
yeah, the
yeah.
essence of
Yeah.
like season 9. Why do you agree with me or are you wrong?
Do
No,
you?
like I agree with you. It's because, like I said, you can't keep the same mindset. You can't keep the same views when you change like that.
Yeah, as soon as you have someone like two people don't think exactly the same. So if you have one person thinking of an idea for one show and one person thinking for an idea of another show, uh, it's obviously two different shows, and that's the
It's
idea.
been besmirched.
And that's what The Simpsons is. The show that airs on Fox every night nowadays is different from the '90s classic.
Yeah, it's like I mean, at the end of the
Yeah,
day, dude.
they bear the same name, but they're not the same show.
Yeah, the Simpsons name and show has been besmirched. It's like it was something great, but then it got like really commercialized as it hit Simpsons Mania. It got commercialized, took the ball and ran. They just wanted to pump out as much as possible
Right.
without really taking it into account for like, how do I make this show, you know, smart with a purpose, really. And like
Right.
but you're lacking a lot of these heartfelt moments. Like for example, Lisa and that teacher, like he gave him as soon as that one teacher like went to the train to go away, he gave a note to Lisa, saying a note to Lisa, and it said, "You are Lisa Simpson," when she opened it, and like she was really touched by this teacher, and like that teacher was really made an impact on Lisa. That was a really
You
very
don't have
heartfelt
yeah,
moment.
you don't have those types of moments anymore.
Yeah, no, there is no heart. There is no passion. There is no aggression. There is no
emotion, there is no vision.
yeah.
Right.
What was that movie from?
It's not from a movie. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but
It's a
like, yeah,
meme, as far as I know.
wait,
Yeah.
what?
What'd you say?
It's a meme, as far as I know.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, so that's really the idea of the show. It's just it's not the same show anymore.
Honestly, can you imagine if like Phineas and Ferb has been doing like this? Imagine if Phineas and Ferb were doing that for like
Right.
2 decades or 3 decades.
Yeah.
It would eventually get so unbelievably boring and unfunny. Like
Yeah,
it would,
like if Phineas
Yeah.
came out with like the cure for cancer, that's like the only other thing that they haven't done. If they came out with the cure for cancer, it's going to be so unbelievable that it isn't funny anymore.
hey Ferb, what are we gonna do today? Join Al Qaeda.
Exactly. The thing is,
Yeah. So like,
they've done
yeah,
everything
I
that's
remember.
they've done everything that's so extreme that they can't do anything that isn't
It's not only that. It's not only
unbelievable.
that. You have like Phineas and Ferb is a very good show. In my opinion, it's a pretty damn good show. It's not amazing. It definitely has its flaws. Can get repetitive here and there, but it's generally enjoyable to watch. If you kept with that same thing for so long,
It's gonna get old.
it's
soon.
gonna get old and die off. Of course, The Simpsons
Yeah.
and Phineas and Ferb have different reasons for dying off. I'm just saying that like
One should have died off and the other didn't.
yeah, you either
Or
you
one
e-
did die off and
yeah.
the other didn't.
you either it didn't die off, it was preserved. It's like
Right.
you either live long enough to be like you either die young enough to stay a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Like why do you think like the 27 Club?
Yeah.
On a completely unrelated note, the 27 Club, it's like a bunch of athletes, actors, and a bunch of these like really famous people, musicians, particularly rock personnel. They're really cool and everything, and they die at 27, and they all die at 27, and it's called this 27 Club. It includes a lot of people, and yeah, and like it's like they die at those age because they don't want to see themselves get old and get ruined and like become a shadow and a shell of their former glory. And I think at the end of the day, it's like The Simpsons is like honestly like a dog. It's really old. It's blind, riddled with diseases. Everyone knows they should end it. Like, they
So
should kill it
the
and put it
only
down.
right, the only other thing is to do is to put it down. Um, all in all, The Simpsons is a different show from what it used to be.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was really our rant on The Simpsons.
Pretty much. Anyways, Krishav, any ending notes?
So like backtracking to what you said about Phineas and Ferb, like even in Phineas and Ferb, even though they followed the same kind of guidelines as somebody was saying earlier, it was still different in the way that there was like different places that they went to, different plots, different scenes, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then Simpsons kind of went with like a formula, but then that formula can only be used so many times.
Yeah, if you have a certain formula, you need to have a formula that's something that's reusable and that won't get old. With Phineas and Ferb, they used that formula. They used it to its extent and finished off their show. With The Simpsons, they used that formula. They broke that formula apart, put it back together incorrectly, and kept the show running. And they're probably going to keep doing that for another 10 seasons. It's
Phineas
just
and Ferb?
no, not Phineas and Ferb, The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just that The Simpsons, with so many writers changing, um, you can't have the same show anymore.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
Uh,
And with that note, I've been Sai,
I've been Subhash, and this has been our guest, Krishiv.
and we hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.